Square, Lebanon, THW Insurance Services, LLC, 321 West Main Street, Cumberland University Athletics, and D.T. McCall & Son, home of free delivery, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, Cookeville. You notice this is not Chuck Gentry next to me. Normally Chuck's in the leadoff spot. They had some situations at practice today, and he will be here in the second spot. But stepping up, Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with me, and thanks for being willing to do this. I appreciate it. You guys are coming off a good win over St. Andrews, 42-6. You're 3-0, and I talked to you after the game. You were happy with the win, with the victory, but you weren't jumping up and down. There were some issues you saw.
There were, and after watching the film, we it wasn't that we played terrible. It was just 4 turnovers that a couple of bad decisions throwing the ball and just putting the ball on the ground. One of them we gained 15 yards with a run, and then you fumble the ball, and it's you hate that. We didn't punt a single time in the game, so they didn't stop us. It's just we were stopping ourselves. So that was frustrating. I was really happy. Defense played unbelievable, played lights out. When our young pups were in there, they got the long run, or they might not even have close to 100 yards of offense.
Was that just a bad fit on that play?
Just a bad fit, and somebody was out of place, and it just, it's a college athlete that runs, so if he gets past everybody, he gets past everybody, but I'm not discouraged with that because we're getting those young guys some playing experience. So, but the defense played, they played lights out. It was just give the ball back to the offense, give the ball back to the offense, and they did what they needed to do, and we had almost 500 yards of offense. So you can't say we didn't do well.
I want to say 27 first downs too.
It's frustrating to have 4 turnovers and 2 of them were inside the 10-yard line, and that's really, really frustrating to do that. But overall we played pretty well.
And I thought so encouraging, Tim, were a couple of goal line stops. They weren't goal line stands. It was like your guy said, they're not getting in here.
Right, and it was that one was I think they had 12 shots at it because a couple of penalties. One. Apparently, you can't step over a line on the 30-yard line. You get a sideline infraction from a guy that's standing on the goal line, but and it's that point. But the guys did. They did a great job of just saying you're not getting in there, and did it on numerous occasions. Actually, got a turnover on that particular goal line stand. So, that's why I was saying defensively, they played fantastic and do what you're supposed to do with an opponent that that's struggling a little bit. You're supposed to handle them, and that's what they did.
It really seems like it's a pride thing with that defensive unit. They don't want to give up anything.
It is, and and that's just it's a mentality that they have, and they want to continue that, and it's a momentum thing too. You get playing in that situation, and those guys do. They care about it, and they do. It devastated them that they scored, and so. But I can't be any more pleased with the way the defense played because they played lights out, and they're definitely going to have to play that well this week as well.
You had 2 backs go over 100 yards, Jeremiah Bryant and Corneo, the highly heralded freshman out of Alabama, who you clued me in on as that recruiting process was coming to a close about how special that guy was. He ran hard, ran well, and sometimes he didn't hit the hole he was supposed to.
Right, and that's he had a lot of yards and made a lot of freshman mistakes, which are fine. It's going to happen, but his motor and his ability make up for some of the bad fits that he had, but. He's a load. When he gets past the line of scrimmage, if you're in the secondary, it's a business decision with him because most of the time he's not going to do any juke or whatever. It's just going to see if my knee can fit in your jaw, and he's going to try to run over you. And it's a business decision, and he's going to be really well. He reminds me a lot of Traylon when he was a freshman coming in. He's a little bigger than Traylon. Traylon was, but there's a lot of similarities there. And JB just he's a really good football player.
There's no doubt that guy knows what he's doing. He's a transfer. He has a lot of yards, a lot of carries under his belt when he got here, and he has stepped in there and done a wonderful job for him.
He really has. He's a really good patient runner, and Jacob's going to be really, really good when he becomes patient. He's not, and that's every freshman's that way. It's just, I want to go. And when he learns the patience with the running, it's going to be lights out.
Well, and Nick Bird's got some good carries in there, and to have you've got more than that, but that's 3 guys.
Yeah, Nick
really did a wonderful job.
Nick, you can count on him every time. He might not ever break a long one, but he's going to give you 6. I think he averaged almost close to 7 yards. It was 6 point something yards a carry, and you're going to get that from him every time. He is going to fit it right, and he's going to hit it where he's supposed to hit it, and he's going to run hard.
You got a young bunch of receivers. And I've gone blank on his name, 82.
Jarius Rogers.
Comes from a place where receivers are a pretty big deal.
Right.
He has stepped in there and been able to earn a spot from the jump.
Right, and he kind of goes along with Jacob. There's times that he has some mental lapses or whatever, and you're going to get that some with freshmen. But he's got what you can't coach, and that's speed and ability. You either got it or you're chasing it, but he does come from a good program that's produced a lot of receivers. So he's been coached up pretty well in high school, but he's a difference maker. And some of the returners, Tim Frill's having a wonderful campaign and doing well, and then Isaiah O'Neal, that's another transfer we got from Mars Hill. He's the bigger receiver that we've needed that you can run inside with, and he's going to use his body to block guys or whatever, but he's doing real well. So we got a complement of some older guys coming back that with those new guys that I knew we were going to be better than that. And I think we've already, compared to what we did last year, we were so disappointed. I think we've got as many touchdowns and almost as many yards as we've had all of last year in the first 3 games. So that's going how we want it to go.
You made a conscious decision in that football game against St. Andrews to get some other guys into the mix, and there's a young man, Isaiah Douglas from Lebanon, plays on a lot of special teams for you. You got him on offense. He came up with a couple of nice catches, and knowing that you can go into the bullpen and get some cats who can play for you.
Right. That's the thing. You got. Didn't even mention those others. Isaiah's the same. Nate Stevens came. He was a freshman last year, and he's doing great things for us. And we got a lot of returning receivers that we feel good about. And like you said, kind of deep in it. Caden Hatchett that plays for us at receiver. He's kind of our Swiss Army knife guy. He can play any position at receiver, any of the positions, and he knows he's not going to mess up any of them. So he's kind of. If we need somebody to spot here or spot there, Caden will go in and spot them. So it's a pretty good little deal at receiver.
Were you happy with the way your offensive line played?
Yes, for the most part. We had a couple of the bad plays were just a couple of missed assignments, but it's going to happen at times. But I was pleased with them. I was really pleased. We rotated the whole game. We rotated 2 guards in. So we basically played 4 guards the whole game, and I was really happy with that to get them a lot more game experience or whatever. And so when we get a couple of guys that'll be off of injury the next week, we'll be able to move, because we've got a guard playing right now. It's really a tackle that we kind of moved in because of some injuries. But I was real pleased with those guys, and they're just they're doing what they're asked to do, and they don't complain. I don't think we've played a great game yet. That's the exciting part about it, and frustrating part about it is we need to start getting to there, especially going into conference. We got to start playing. I just expect a lot of them up there. I told them at the beginning of the season, I expect us to dominate. That's just my demeanor about it. It's not cockiness or whatever. It's just to play that position, you got to expect to dominate, and that's, we're trying to get that mentality.
Florida Memorial is the opponent on Saturday at Noakes Lassiter Field, 1:30 kickoff. They are 1-0-1. They had a tie last week with Clark out of Atlanta. Apparently weather hit in the second half of that football game, 24-24 tie. Were you able to look at that film and be able to learn anything about Florida Memorial?
With that one and the week before they played Edward Waters, they got a really good offensive team. That's kind of what they hang their hat on. They've got a Division I running back transfer that is going to go through there. They will throw the ball, and their quarterback can pull it, and he's an adequate runner or whatever. But everything's going to try to go through that running back, which it should if you got a Division I guy transfer there. So, but just typical South Florida team. They got athletes. Probably got better athletes carrying water than we got on our team, maybe. But and defensively, kind of the same way. They're really athletic. They're not really big, but they're athletic. So, it's definitely probably the best team we're going to face so far. So that's from this week to this coming week, from last week to this week, we've got to play a lot better if we expect to win that game.
It would really be something to be 4-0 going into conference play, wouldn't it?
I mean, it definitely would. And that's our that's our goal is to go. 1:30 at Noakes Lassiter. We want to get after them and have a chance to going into our bye week. Get a week off, a week to get healthy or whatever going into conference, because it's just a gauntlet. Then we don't have any bye weeks for whatever reason. We got a bye week the last week of the season, but so we got the gauntlet of everybody you're going to face, and it would really be great momentum if we entered that conference play at 4-0. But we got to play a lot better if we're going to do that to get to 4-0.
I was impressed with the crowd you had.
I told how I feel about that. I think it's unbelievable how guys come out there, and from Wednesday on it was going to rain. I saw some people out on the parkway out there. I think they were building the ark because of what all they said last week, but then it hardly ever rained until the third quarter. It started raining. I thought I was in the Forrest Gump movie. It was raining from the floor up. It was raining so hard for about 30 minutes or so, but fantastic crowd. Hopefully it's even bigger this coming week, because it makes a difference. It really makes a difference. I tell you, the funny thing about it is Coach Moore, our tight ends coach that does the signals, I told him next year we got to get him, because we all have headsets that just has one earpiece, and he was having a hard time hearing because we have a crowd on the road. There really wasn't ever any noise, and he was having to hold both hands up to try to hear what Coach Brown was calling so he could signal it in. But I want it louder. I think it's a huge advantage.
Well, and you have so many kids from around here close, and they want to come see their cats play.
And that's, we do that on purpose, and that's part of the purpose, is to put people in the stands too. But obviously the football, 70-mile radius of this town, the football is the best in the state of Tennessee anyway. So, but it does help that we do try to recruit heavy from around here, because it's easier for people to go watch those guys that they watched in high school, 30-40 minute drive, and come watch them play college football.
Well, and a lot of alums and former players come back. You've got the recruiting pavilion down in the end zone where you've got prospective players coming in and visiting. You feed them, you show them a good time. Saturdays are special on that campus.
Oh, it definitely is, and that's done a great job of piling in those recruits in that pavilion and everything. And the pavilion even provided that rain cover for everything. Was packed to the brim when it started raining. I tried to get over there and coach from that, but I wouldn't let me in. So, well,
I tried to get off the field and get to the press box, and one of the gates there were so many people coming out of there. You just kind of had to wait your turn to get out. But again, wonderful turnout. And folks, you can park over at the old hospital parking area too. You don't all have to park in that big parking lot. You get there so early it doesn't matter. But it was dog eat dog in that parking lot trying to get in there.
I like to hear that. I like to hear that a bunch. So, yeah, I want them to park in somebody's front yard. We'll deal with it later.
Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with us. Off to a 3-0 start. They've got Florida Memorial coming in on Saturday at Noakes Lassiter Field. Tim, thanks for the visit. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Go Phoenix.
Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland. We'll be back with more after this timeout. Thank you, pal.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
it.
You got all right? You okay?
Thanks for staying with us. Coaches Night Out live from Town Square Social. Let me run through the schedule for Week 5, Friday, September 20. Mount Juliet at Cookeville, Lebanon at Green Hill, Nashville Christian at Mount Juliet Christian Academy, Cascade at Watertown, Wilson Central at Shelbyville, and Friendship is idle because Republic, the Trailblazers from Nashville, have decided to forfeit. And I promise you, I've tried to talk to their athletic director 3 different times. She won't return my calls, so I don't have Republic's side of the story, but they're not coming to Lebanon to play Friendship, so the Commanders pick up a win. Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Shop Springs Creamery, the Salas Realty Group, THW Insurance Service, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall & Sons are sponsors for this program. And don't forget the Shop Springs Creamery, 2816 Sparta Pike, is the official chocolate milk of Lebanon Blue Devil football. Chuck Gentry joins us now in the second segment of the show. He had some coach business he had to take care of on the practice field. Chuck, your football team, I've been told before that a wounded animal is a dangerous animal, and the Blue Devils a little bit wounded right now, 1-3, lost to Cookeville last week, a region football game. How have your kids responded in practice?
Well, depending on the day, Monday was pretty good, Tuesday wasn't very good, today was pretty good. So, a lot of it, we've had a little sickness going around. Have some kids battling the crud and some strep and some things, but just part of the normal daily routine, and our spirits aren't we're frustrated, but still hitting at it, and I expect us to show up Friday night ready to play.
It was tough to get Cookeville off the football field last week, wasn't it?
Well, first play, maybe not a great fit, missed tackle, kid with speed, touchdown. Second time that they, another big play, first play of the second quarter, maybe second, third, but long run down their sideline there where we got a little wide and trying to play, not do our job, trying to do somebody else's job, and when you've got two explosive runners that are hard to tackle, you have to gain tackle, and if you have a job to do, you have to do that, and for whatever reason, we didn't get it done, and 6'1", 230 pounds has a little bit to do with that, but we didn't have our best performance trying to get off the field, and again, some of that's due to them, and some of that's due to us.
You had to jumble early in the football game your interior offensive line because Casey, your center, went down hurt pretty early, and you had to do some moving around, adjusting on the run.
Yeah, Blake Mofield went in for Javon Kaysen, and Wayne Wright went in at guard, and then we played that way, I guess, most of the rest of the game, and we do some juggling around up there just because, but it makes it hard to get through and a little different, and Blake has played some football, but he hadn't played much center, and so it was took a little bit. All right, you're going to be fine. Calm down, and again, just parts of the thing. There's injuries that happen all the time. You just next man up. You got to roll with them, and again, I think I've said it on here. We're execute, and shoot ourselves in the foot. Execute, shoot ourselves in the foot, and just some uncharacteristic things that I'm trying to clean up. And I said this the other night. We talked about it in the coaching staff. We're 1-3, played 3 good football teams, and we're close. But there's probably a lot of bad football teams saying we're close, and so until we get it right and do it, we're still 1-3 and not doing things the way we should.
But when you go back and the staff and the players go back and look at the film, the margin of error is really kind of tight. I mean, you have to play good football to be in those games.
Right, and again, I think talking to other coaches, I don't think people understand it, but Cookeville is, last year they were, I think, 2-3 after the Mount Juliet game. They've won several games in a row, minus the Oakland playoff game. You go to Upperman, and
They won 14 games last year.
I guess they're 18-1 now.
Yeah,
and are on a roll. Antioch keeps getting better, and again, they got a trigger man. Anytime you got a trigger man, that makes you that much more dangerous and hard to defend, and they're kind of believing and getting in, the thing. So, the 3 teams that beat us are 11-1. 2 of them are ranked or talking about you see their name in the Tennessee Sports Writers, and so I think all 3 of those teams will be playing in the postseason, and play another one this week. Green Hill is 4-0, who is played good football, and so it doesn't get any easier, but hopefully we will get better.
Well, and you've said it many times. It's not who Lebanon plays; it's how Lebanon plays. And quite honestly, you haven't played to the standard that you guys have set for yourself.
No, I don't know who I told, but several people. That if you talk about Lebanon football, there's nobody that takes it any seriously and more harsh than I do, and it's not up to our standards. I did an interview today, and they asked me, what about last week's game sticks out? And I said, well, I'm calling plays and we didn't score any points, and to me that's it's personal. It's what you put on film. You're either coaching or allowing, and here we are. And so me and myself, coaching staff, take responsibility for it, but we went through some accountability. I took yesterday 5 minutes and showed our offensive group the first 3 plays of the offensive game. Drop pass, misread, bad run, bad pass, punt. Where very easily we could have got 8 yards, big play on the screen, and it was nothing. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Cookville because they're a really good football team, and me and Coach Hennigan talked this week twice. So he knows I have a lot of respect for him, but it was nothing that Cookville did. They did exactly what we prepared for, and we got exactly what we wanted, and we didn't do what we needed to do. And again, that comes back to us and practice and reps and doing, and at some point, I feel like it's going to click.
You got Green Hill this week. First time Lebanon football has gone to Green Hill to play. You're on the turf. Green Hill playing awfully good football. Mm-hmm. Chuck, on both sides of the football, defensively, I want to say they've had 3 shutouts in a row, and then offensively they've had to jumble some people around personnel-wise, and they're making it work for them.
Yeah, when you look at it, the first thing that's impressive, 4 games, 7 points. I'm not great at math, but I believe that's under 2 a game. And then, coming off of what we just talked about, not scoring any points last week, that's a major concern, because their offense have been scoring points. So if they're scoring a lot of points and not giving up a lot of points, that's a pretty good recipe to have good football. So, they've got a quarterback that's been there and done that and played a lot of football, and he's a smooth operator. He can run it, he can throw it. Got a cast of characters, obviously hate to see a young man go down. A lot of respect for Aaron Mattingly and the player, person, basketball, football that he was. Hate that for that young man, but they have others step in and just keep on rolling, keeping on churning out points. So, that's going to be a tough task for us, but hopefully we can, again, eliminate some of our mistakes and hold up our end of the bargain in the game.
What Green Hill wound up doing with Mattingly being unavailable, they moved their tailback into the slot, Owens, and threw it to him some, and then brought in a sophomore who was the leading rusher at Mount Juliet Christian a year ago, dang near 800 yards for those guys. He scores 3 touchdowns. Cartwright, still a pretty good 1-2 when you combine him with Burris back there, the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they've got good people, and they play a lot of people, and their coaching staff does a really good job of using those people, getting them in and out, and again, very efficient on both sides of the football.
What do you think you'll see from them defensively? How will they line up?
They're a 3-man front. Whether it's their 50 stuff or the 3 safety stuff, and they're going to do what they do. They're going to. Now the question is, will they pressure us and do the things to try to crowd the box and make us throw it, or will they say, okay, we're going to get in here and midpoint you and apex you and say, make Isaiah make some decisions as we're going, or say, all right, throw it out there, spread it out there, or say, all right, we think we can stop you with 5, see what we can do. So, I think we'll get a little bit of all of it, but they do the 50 stuff and the 3 safety stuff, very sound, very, they'll be lined up and eyes in the right spot and doing things, and like I say, you're giving up less than 2 points a game, you're doing something right. And we watch the 4 films that we got, because we're all in the region pool, so we all uploaded, and you watch it, and there's not nobody's found any holes yet, and so minus one kind of slant route that it was really covered and kind of went for the ball and shook the tackle there. A one-on-one there, there's not been any points scored. So, and there's been a lot of 3 and outs. So, tall task for us, but hopefully we can. One thing that we did do last week, we had 16 first downs, which was we flipped the field a lot, kept our defense off the field, and hopefully we can do that, because anytime we've got it, they don't have it. And early in the year, we couldn't keep our defense off the field, and we were putting them in bad positions. And then last week it was kind of the opposite. So, knock on wood, at some point, hopefully we'll play complementary football and piece it together and have a game where we look like a Lebanon football team that should be putting on the field.
Health-wise, I know it's midweek. You may not know what's going to happen on Friday. In general, how's your football team?
We're okay. I mean, there's some bumps and bruises and dings and stuff, but for the most part, we're pretty healthy and should be good to go, ready to battle on Friday night. Playing
this close, departure times and buses, that's not that big a deal. Thank goodness.
I'm actually excited to get on the bus and get on the road and go to a hostile environment and be the homecoming queen and see what happens. You know, it's sometimes playing at home, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of distractions and stuff. Let's get on the bus and go play and see what happens. And again, you know, we won't have to worry about the field divots or the goalpost or anything like that. It'll be football time, and hopefully we can show up and do our part.
Talk about team meals this week. The Rigsby and the Scruggs family fed the ninth graders on Monday. On Thursday, DT McCall and Sons will provide the meal for the teams, and then on Friday, the reliable Bonnie Ryan at Zaxby's will feed the team, and Miss Bonnie she's bought in from day one, hasn't she?
Yes, sir. 8 years. She was the first one that reached out to me, said, meet me at Zaxby's. I didn't stutter. I said, yes, ma'am. Got there quick, and we sat down, and she asked, and all right, we've got the chicken on our goalpost pads. We've got the chicken on our game day shirts, and we appreciate Miss Bonnie and for all that she's done for us through the 8 years. And every time we call, she's gracious to help us. And another thing that she does that not a lot of people knows, if I call her and we have somebody in need, she gives us gift cards, and that kid family can eat and do. And
can't beat that.
She has been great for us. And I told somebody asked me about team meals, and I said our varsity last weekend, this week, they ate the leftovers from the JV and freshmen. They ate Thursday night and they ate Friday, and all three were really, really, really good meals, and they they understand where it comes from, and Brother Darren does a good job of talking to them and letting them know who, when, where, what, and why. But we appreciate it. Like I said, it's a fun time to go up there and sit with your friends and talk and do the things that you need to do, and know that you're going home with a full belly, and sometimes they even go home with a full belly and an extra plate.
I talked to Dr. Scott Walters for my halftime interview for radio today, spent some time with him, and he talked about the community support for Lebanon High School. People love Lebanon High School. They really do.
Yeah, you know this, but 8 years ago, when the job was open, one of the things that we talked about was the 6A school with a small town feel, and some of the old Lebanon parts are still here. That makes it, Lebanon's growing and busting at the seams, but you still have those old guys that come back that wore the blue and white, that understand, that show up to the golf tournament, that show up to casino night, that show up on Friday nights, that are there when you come off the field sometimes, or show up at practice, and it makes it, it makes it good, and I've told our kids, you're supported, and if you act right, do right, and things, you will see exactly how a couple of years ago when we had the run in the playoffs, I mean, we were having breakfast on Thursday mornings that were so much Cracker Barrel stuff you couldn't, and I had loads of parents in there feeding us, and people shelling out money to pay for it, and for the most part, we've never went for wanting anything. If we want it, we've raised the money and get it, and if whoever it is makes a call to different people, everybody's always happy to step up, and we really appreciate that.
Chuck, thanks for the visit as always. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we will see you on Friday as Lebanon goes to Green Hill.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom.
Chuck Gentry, head coach at Lebanon High, with us here on this segment of the show. Let me run through the scoreboard from last week, if I can. Undefeated Mount Juliet knocked off Warren County 44-0. Undefeated Green Hill beat Wilson Central by a score of 36-0. Friendship over Grace Christian 35-7. Mount Juliet Christian blanked Red Boiling Springs 34-0. Undefeated Cookeville defeated Lebanon 27-0. DeKalb County beat Watertown 45-27. And then on Saturday, Cumberland all over St. Andrews 42-6. That's our scoreboard from last week. We'll take a break and we'll be back with Josh Crouch after you hear this.
The back leg like that right there, and then you hold it. That's some good fall. Grab yours right there. Big Blue! Big Blue!
Third and final segment of Coach's Night Out, brought to you by Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Shop Springs Creamery, the Salas Realty Group, THW Insurance Service, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall's. Let's run through the schedule for Week 5. Everybody's playing on Friday this week as opposed to last week. Friday, September 20, Mount Juliet at Cookeville, Lebanon at Green Hill for homecoming, Nashville Christian at Mount Juliet Christian Academy for homecoming, Cascade at Watertown for homecoming, Wilson Central at Shelbyville Central, and Republic has decided they're not going to play at Friendship. They've had problems with numbers, so the Commanders pick up a 2-0 forfeit win over Republic High School. And as I think back, Josh Crouch, head coach at Green Hill, it was Republic deciding not to play the very year your program opened in 2020, which allowed you to get a full schedule. You walked into their schedule.
Yeah, I was just thinking that when I was driving over, I was listening to the show, and I was thinking the whole time, and we was at this point in 2020, we were taking that schedule over. So,
and you and I had talked several times as you were putting a schedule together, and it included some trips that were kind of far flung, and then boom, Republic decides they're not going to play.
Yeah, and that's that whole cycle of the first year head coach thing. Probably write a book on how probably not to do it, but it was unique for sure. But we got through it, and that's the only thing I think of when I go back to it. It was craziness from the get-go. But I hate it for them. I know those kids at Republic want to play, so hate it for them. But we were thankful back then to be able to have an opportunity to play.
And if I remember, Josh, there were Metro schools on that schedule, and they couldn't play at their place. You wound up picking up some extra home games.
Yeah, we played Good Pasture, Father Ryan, Gallatin, and probably had no business playing any of them that year, but that's just, we were trying to put together a schedule and play on Friday nights is the only thing we were trying to do at that point. So, wild time.
You have played awfully good football so far this season, both sides of the football. Defensively, you've given up 7 points in 4 games. What's the secret?
I don't think there's a secret. I think the kids are just they play for each other. That group is really tight knit. They eat lunch together. They hang out together outside of school. They're going out to eat tonight. I think they went to Calabria's over there, and that group is. I think anytime you have a group of kids that really genuinely like each other to hang around each other, it says a lot. So that group is kind of reflected on our defense coordinator, Coach Long, and the defensive staff is kind of just poured into them, and they're playing really good ball together.
Does that group of 11, 12, 13, do they strictly play defense, or you got guys playing both sides?
We have on our defense. Well, we actually have. I think there's 7 guys the first time they've ever started on a Friday night on defense.
Really?
So they didn't play at all last year. We had 35 seniors last year and graduated 10 of the 11 on defense last year. So we really didn't know what we had coming in, but they've responded well. But most of our guys play one way. We got 47 kids that are defense only. We've got 3 kids that play both ways. The 3 kids are 2 of them are offense and defensive linemen.
They must be adhering to, buying in to the scheme, the philosophy, to be able to do it every week. Like you've done it.
And I think it's a testament to Coach Long, because when we look at personnelling, sometimes you want to be an even front, you want to be an odd front, you want to be a whatever front. We looked at really our best 11 kids because we talked about last year we had 35 kids that graduated. You just had to look at the best 11, put the best 11 out there. For us this year, that meant a 3 high safety structure where we have 3 of our safeties we thought were 3 of our better football players, and if we had a 2 safety front, one of our best players is sitting on the bench. So for us
to maximize what you've got,
just what we felt, and that's what you do in high school football. That's what a lot of people really don't understand, the schematics of what goes into what Chuck does and what Trey or Ben, Gavin, all of our guys. We take what we get in our hallways and we try to make the best out of it. So I think that is a really test to what Coach Long did this offseason. We were traditionally a 3-4, 4 linebackers, 2 safeties, and we went to 1 linebacker and 3 safeties in the offseason and just really bought into that scheme and try to put our best 11 out there and just try to fly to the football.
Well, that decision-making process where you have to sit down and almost self-scout and say, who have we got? Now, how can we get the most out of these guys?
Yeah, and a lot of those kids play. We had a freshman that started at safety last year against Riverdale. Will Butler came in, and he was one of the ones that we thought we have to have this kid on the field. Omeza Danyon has been a staple for us, and then we've got guys that are returners like Braden Flackel. I think he's the career leader in tackles for loss for us, that we knew was going to be an anchor on the D-line, but Luca and Cole, our other 2 tackles, had never played a Friday night. 2 outside backers had never played a Friday night. Both of our corners had never played a Friday night. One of them's a baseball kid that we had heard was going to come out, but we weren't for sure yet. So when he showed up, it was really, and baseball's played through July nowadays, so we didn't get them all the off season. So it was really trying to just, what are we going to have and how we put those pieces together and what's the best way we can go about it.
By what you've been telling me about some of these guys have not played on Friday nights or not started on Friday nights, that makes the JV work you do during the season so important.
Yeah, and I think that's something I told a reporter 2 weeks ago that was talking to us from Tennessee and about who do we have, kind of who else graduated, all the holes we filled. But when you look at your program, and if we're going to really platoon and really buy into platooning, then we have to put our JV against our ones and play best on best essentially during practice. Well, those guys that were playing against our offense last year during practice are now the guys that are starting for us. So if we reflect back and look at the program and say, is JV working? Is platooning working? Is, instead of a kid playing 75 snaps on both sides of the ball, can we get one kid playing well enough on defense throughout a whole year to get better within the scheme? And for us, that question overwhelmingly has been yes so far. And again, it gets back to our coaches. We've got great coaches that really pour into our kids, and we watch film and do all these things during class time, and we're able to catch those kids up and really break into the game cognitively for them to be successful in that position.
And being able to adjust on the fly is a big deal. You had to do that when Aaron Mattingly went down, and you were able to twist just a little bit. You put Owens at a receiver, you bring Cartwright in and give him a lot of carries, and you put those guys on the field with Cannon Burris together, and that's kind of a 3-headed monster you've got there. Cartwright, not your average sophomore. He got a lot of work last year at Mount Juliet Christian. That guy really knows how to run the football.
Really good back. And when we looked at it on Saturday, when we knew Aaron went down in the Summit game, we come back in Sunday, and just, the toughest situation or the toughest question was, our best ball carrier right now is Nick Owen Jr.
Yeah.
And if you take the ball out of his hands for 25, 30 plays a game, are we better to move him in the slot than we are they just give him the football? And for us, that meant that Cannon had to develop a little bit more in the running game, which he has in the last 2 weeks. We really had to put faith in our running back room. I think we had 4 really good backs, in my opinion. Zach obviously had 3 touchdowns last week. Zach Spilleri came in, had a touchdown. Piggy comes in, Brogdon comes in and has 4 or 5 carries for over 20 yards. And when you can rotate those backs and keep them fresh, I think it really means something. But then, with Aaron going down, typically that brought an extra safety over to try to help and maybe bracket him. What we were worried about is now you have to put everybody in the box. You're going to play one-on-one out there and who can beat them. So we thought that if we move Nick out, move him around a little bit, single side slot, back in the backfield, that it really had to make the defense communicate a little bit harder and made us a little bit more difficult to prepare for.
Owens caught passes, ran the football, threw it on a halfback pass, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You figured a way to get that guy the football.
He's special, and I told Christian last week if we asked him to play right guard, he'd be our best right guard. It's just who he is. Nick is, no matter what position we put him in, he could be one of the better ones. So, we're grateful to have him. His leadership is unparalleled. But we've got a lot of kids that right now they don't care who's getting the publicity. They just want to win football games, and that's what's fun to coach right now. Is the kids just want to play football and want to win. Don't care about who gets it.
It sounds like they're convinced. They're going out and executing on Friday night, and you can have good players, but if they don't execute on Friday night and do what's expected of them, you got problems, and you haven't had those.
Yeah, 1-11, and we talk about it being a puzzle piece, and then one puzzle piece is out of place and throws off the whole picture. So, and really our special teams is that way. We've really put a big emphasis on special teams being a way to springboard yourself onto offense and defense. So you're getting buy-in from sophomores that just want to go on kickoff. They just want to prove themselves, and so we're working and building that. But man, this team that we are about to play has seen 3 opponents that we have not seen yet, and has been in dogfights in every single one of them. So, I never leave an opportunity without talking about how great of a job Chuck does and his staff has done, and we're going to be into a dogfight. We don't look at that record as something that we just expect to be the Lebanon of the early 2010s. It's not. It's the special players. 1, 2, and 3 are as good as you get on the football field. So it should be a good fight. But I think our kids. We've had a good week of practice, so I think we're ready to go.
But when you've seen Lebanon on film, they are close in so many areas, and if it clicks for them on a given Friday night, they're going to give people problems.
Yeah, and I've seen, the quarterback is as dynamic as a runner as we've seen, and then you pair him with Harrison, who, too, if he touches it at any point, he can score no matter what. And we don't have a kid that can. It's very similar to number 4 last week from Central. If they get the ball in space, you're not going to be able to catch them. So, and Dame is obviously a great football player, and they've got kids that are going to be really good football players, and they still are really good football players. They've just ran into some unfortunate luck the first couple of weeks, and we're expecting their best, and I know they're going to be coached up, ready to go.
You had your senior night week 1. Mm-hmm. You kind of got those kids some recognition, and it's a little out of the box. And because of the way the schedule has worked out, a lot of times football coaches don't have anything to do about picking homecoming. That's student council and people from other areas, but you got homecoming, a longer halftime. There's a lot of rigmarole and stuff going on during the week, but Friday night at 7 o'clock, it's football, and that's what you guys have got to concentrate on.
Yeah, and we did not pick this to be the game. Yeah. It just happened to be, the first week was our senior night. The second week is in our program. Military Appreciation is always a 9/11 week. It's just something that's special to us, something that we do. We want to bring all those that serve and give them into the gate and honor them. And then this happens to be the last home game that we got for 4 weeks. So we got away fall break, and it just happened to fall this week. But like we told our guys, our greatest gift to homecoming isn't dress-up days, isn't the parade. Our greatest gift is to try to win a football game. So we're going to try to be focused and hopefully all that other stuff takes care of itself. But I do know I've got a couple texts from some of our alumni looking forward to come back and seeing them, and we're starting to build that alumni group now. They get to come back after 3-4 years and kind of celebrate with us.
And I've talked to Christian about this. The great thing about starting a program from scratch is that you're able to keep up with everything. You're able to have record books that are legit, and you can build that alumni base. When guys have come through your program, they've had a good experience, and they're still young enough to come back and feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah, and every week we've had away game or home game. We've had kids on our sideline that have been there, part of our program, and that's the stuff that's important to me. Is we're missing the point if we're coaching 10 football games throughout a year. So seeing those kids back when they're 19, 21, 22 years old and having them back is something that I look forward to when I look at the scope of our program, just to see those kids back and see their families eventually, and then see them grow up into young men.
You guys are big with the youth program up in that neck of the woods, that northern part of Highway 70 going back up that way in those neighborhoods. You got a bunch of kids wearing green and white.
Yeah, it was an emphasis of mine whenever we first got there. That was the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to start a youth program, and it wasn't out of spite towards anybody or trying to cut a community in part. My whole thing was, when I was at another school, we were always fighting growing up in a different color. It was always something that, for me, I attributed our high school success and my growing up to being a little kid at 7-8 years old on the sideline watching David Wolke and Luke Powell throw touchdown passes. And for Smyrna, and I wanted those kids to have that same experience for us. And also, it's important to me. It's my son too. My son is growing up in our program. I want him to know our kids. I want all of our kids to know our kids. So our youth program's strong right now. Jeremy and Alicia is doing a great job with it. We got a couple of teams that are undefeated. We got, I think, 9 in total right now playing youth football.
9 teams. So it's the full gamut of the age groups, right?
6-year-old through 12-year-old. So you have a 6, 8, 10, 12. So you have 4 divisions. We've got 9 teams in total.
And they play Saturdays at your place?
Saturdays at our place, and then all over. Some teams will be home, some will be away, but they all play on Saturdays at some point.
And you've become quite the volleyball fan now, right?
That's right. Yeah. I got a daughter now that's she's making a name for herself, and she's loving it. Bought in. We got a really good team. We got a good program, and I love. She was a sophomore volleyball girl for a long time, and she kind of gave up softball. So Julys are a little bit cooler now in the AC. So it works out great for Dad.
Well, and not sitting out in those hot summer tournaments and that sort of thing, but volleyball is a great program for these girls, and there's going to be another program come along in the spring with that flag football that's going to be sanctioned. Will your staff have anything to do with that?
Yeah, I think we just named a head coach today, or we told the guy who's going to be the head coach. Our staff's going to help. I'm going to help on the offensive side. Coach Long, Coach Week's going to help on the defensive side. So we're going to have.
Can you say who the head coach is?
I'm not privileged to do that yet, right. But it's somebody that we're really excited about, and I'll let them make that announcement. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody, and they're right to have that announcement. But good dude, and really really excited about working with them, and we're that whole thing's going to have fun. Again, my daughter will be a part of it. Her friends will be a part of it. It'll be another way for us to compete and put our high school with the best foot forward in athletics in Tennessee, and try to build the hill.
I got, and not to dwell on this too much, but in talking to some of the TSSAA folks when this came down the pike that flag football for girls was going to be happening, they said Georgia is several years ahead of Tennessee in doing this, and they found through the years that over 60% of the girls who play, that's their primary sport. They don't play anything else. So it's not like you're pulling from track and field or basketball or volleyball. You're finding girls that don't do anything else, that this is a great opportunity. And in a school setting, Josh, you know it, the more kids that are involved, the better it is for the whole program.
No doubt. And, that's something we had talked about as a coach. Luckily, we've got really great head coaches in our school and in our building. Our softball team's pretty good. So that's the first thing that, we want to protect that program. And same thing, our track and field program is really strong. We got girls lacrosse now. We've got a lot of girl empowerment in our school, really good sports. And really the ones that have won big things have been our female athletes. So we're just trying to find a way to, if we practice on Wednesday and play on Saturdays, can those girls also play softball and run track? And I think we can make a way to make it work. And if we keep what's best for the kid is always first, I think we'll make it fine. We'll work it out.
Well, I know you guys will. Thanks for the visit. Lebanon at Green Hill Friday night. Get there early if you're going to go, because parking can be at kind of a premium, and there's going to be a lot of activities starting earlier in the day.
5:45, we're going to start. We got a parade at 7:30, so if you're on Highway 70 up in the north end or up there in our area, we will start with a whole school parade that's going to start right there by Burger King, go all the way down the main road.
What time will that start?
That's going to start at 8:45.
Okay, in the morning.
In the morning.
Okay.
We got a parade going down that way on Main Street, and then we're going to circle back around, and then we will start homecoming festivities at 5:45, and then our halftime will be our court and honoring everybody. But I know our parents are going to be tailgating at 5:30 in the CTE parking lot. If you're not a part of the high school, just come get a burger from us. We just want to welcome people in at Green Hill and see them over there and have a good football game. And it should be pretty on Friday night, so it should be a good atmosphere.
Josh, thanks for the visit. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Josh Crouch, head coach at Green Hill High School with us. Let me run through that schedule one more time. Mount Juliet at Cookeville, which is going to be for the lead in the Region 4-6A. Lebanon at Green Hill. Nashville Christian at Mount Juliet Christian. Cascade at Watertown. Wilson Central at Shelbyville Central, and Republic is forfeited to Friendship Christian. For Thomas Denny, Richard Kirby, I'm Tommy Bryan from Town Square Social. I will talk to you later. Thank you.
Good job, man.
You do good when you get here.